What's up, BookTube? It's Monty. I'm back, and I'm here today to talk about Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I know you might be thinking to yourself, didn't he just pulled up this book in his Friday Reads video, and now he has a review up? Yes, I did. I filmed my Friday Reads video on Thursday, and then on Friday I promptly finished this book. I did finish the book after the video went live, though, so I don't feel like it was a waste of anybody's time like I feel like this book is. Just before I get into spoilery thoughts and discussions, which I don't really have that many things I think that are a spoiler to talk about, I want to talk about how this book is formatted. I knew going in that it was formatted in files and images. I didn't know there were images. I thought it was going to be files. So I went in expecting one thing, and it's not exactly what I got. I got a lot of I Am transcripts, which is fine. I feel like a lot of books have done that since like the Princess Diaries, and I've read The Perks of Being a Wallflower. That's epistolary, so that's letters. One of my favorite books of all time, Elemental P, is written in letters, and at some points, letters of the alphabet are no longer allowed to be used, and so things get really creative there. But I haven't read anything that was quite like this. And I have to say that on a couple of pages, I wasn't a fan of how things were formatted. Towards the beginning of the book, within the first 40 pages, there's 8 pages of the casualty list, and everybody who died is listed. I did not read any of those 8 pages. I'm just gonna be honest. I did not read any name on any casualty list. I looked, I saw at the top there was a casualty list, and I kept flipping, because I didn't care. I was not going to read 8 pages of names of people that I didn't care about. And that we couldn't care about because they were dead within the first 40 pages. And then immediately after that, there were 4 pages of just tiny, of just tiny images of characters that we didn't know. And we couldn't know. Okay, I take it back. It was not in the first 40 pages. It was after the first 40 pages. Congratulations. It was in the first 60 pages. These tiny images of all of these characters that we just got listed the names of, I guess I could read the name and then try to find their matching picture. I wasn't going to do that. I thought that these were a waste of pages. And then there were pages towards the end that I also thought were like wastes of pages. Where is a good example of that? Like pages like this that just have like a couple words on them. Maybe if I'm reading some poetry, that's fine. I'm not reading poetry. I'm reading a novel. When a book is 600 pages almost, this edition is 599 pages. This doesn't count as a page, especially before you wasted pages on pictures that were like this big. I'm not here for it. So at a lot of points in this novel, I didn't care about the formatting. And I think I didn't care about the formatting because I also was unable to connect to any of the characters. Katie and Ezra, I didn't care about either of them. And I think I really hated Katie because she was just amazing at everything. And I was like, how were you this good? Like, I think it was sort of explained that Byron Zhang or whatever had like trained her. But I was also just kind of like, when, how, where? I missed all of it. Like, she was just that good. And it was really bothersome. And then her whole plan to save the ship or whatever was also bad. I also was not a fan of Aiden in this book and how it had a Hal-like storyline from 2001: A Space Odyssey, a book that was published in 1968. And this is meant to take place in 2575. A full 600 plus years later, and we have the same storyline, and we're not gonna, like, they reference Hal in this book. He gets name dropped from a book in 1968, but there are other things from our time that they just don't understand or don't know. And I think this book also falls into that science fiction thing where they just create names that are never explained. Like, they kept talking about the Ares 7 or whatever, or the Ares 6, and I understood that I think it was supposed to be a spacecraft of some kind, but I was like, I don't know what that is. They talked about dust and dust addicts, and I was like, do we have cocaine in space? Is that what we're doing? We're wasting our time. It's cocaine in space. There was another point in the novel where they were talking about how fire burns in space, and I was like, why would you be burning your oxygen supply? Because you can't have the fire outside the spacecraft because there's no oxygen in space. So if you lit a match inside, like, why would you waste the oxygen when you're running low on water already? Like, I understand the two are very, like, they're different, but it's like, if you're already low on, it was just weird. It was, I didn't like it. I did not like this book. I didn't understand the hype. And I didn't like I said, I didn't like Katie. I didn't think her plan worked, and I didn't understand just anything that was happening here. I was not a fan. I did not drink the Kool-Aid. And the last thing I want to talk about before we get to spoilers is the inclusion of these, like, redacted things. I understand that these ones are curse words, and we can't have people cursing in YA this frequently, I guess. But I think what bothered me is, like, this is a good example. Like, so you have, like, these other ones that are just crossed out. Like, this is obviously a communication between a couple of characters, and so she's, like, hacked the system or whatever, so it's not actually those email addresses. But there's also, like, a couple of the reports just strike-throughs. And I don't know about you, but I really, like, I can read through the strike-through no problem, but I just thought it was really annoying to have a piece of the narrative that was meant to be redacted. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're not supposed to read it, but you're supposed to read it because they didn't actually black it out. And I think it would have been much more interesting how they just blacked it out if it had just not been part of the narrative. Because there was always some sort of throwaway line, some sort of commentary from one of the characters, and it just wasn't necessary. It wasn't needed. And I didn't understand why there would be two different levels of censoring, where, like, one is, like, complete blackout, and the other one is like, oh, we're just gonna cross out this text with a strike-through. When sometimes the stuff in the strike-through felt like it would be more confidential information that would warrant the black box of text. And maybe I've just read a lot of adult novels, and so I feel like you can curse in a book, and it's not that big a deal. Like, if other young adult books can have people having sex in the air over a city, and we are putting in the young adult section, I think we can handle some curse words. I think we can. Or just actually black out everything. So that's what I thought of this book. I can't really recommend it because I don't like it at all. I thought it wasn't even okay. I just did not like this experience reading this book. Now on to some spoilery things. My main issue with this, in terms of spoilers, so if you haven't read it, goodbye, please leave. I don't want to ruin this for you if you somehow managed, like I did, to not read this book, was I didn't like Katie's storyline. I was like, you know what, you broke up with Ezra, good for you, we didn't know you then, like, we can start this book off with a breakup, that's fine. But then, they immediately start flirting with each other, and Katie's like, nah, fam, I'm good, I'm Gucci, no thank you. They continue to flirt. Then, like, out of nowhere, they're professing their love for each other, and then Ezra is dead, and then she's continuing on with this suicide mission to have some sort of Romeo and Juliet ending for the two of them, and I'm like, you know what, you can both die, that's fine, because like I said, the narrative structure of this novel made it impossible for me to care about either of them. So if Ezra really had been dead, I would have been okay with it, and at the end when Katie was dying, I was okay with it. So when he turned out not to be dead, and she also didn't die, and they ended the book together kissing, I was really over it. Because they'd already ripped off, like, the Hal storyline from Space Odyssey, which I haven't read, but I was like, this seems weird. And then Aiden didn't care for it. And then when they had that whole arc where she was going to kill herself, even though she had broken up with him, and they had never really, in my mind, that I could remember, really ever hashed any of that out. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, that was stupid, like, yeah, that really was stupid, and then let's be together, and they were together. And then, for most of the time they were together, it was actually Aiden, and so you would think at the end, like, that would cause some kind of problem, but it doesn't. They just like, yeah, let's kiss. It was weird. So I thought that the romance aspect of the book wasn't needed, and then the fact that they used it in the way that they did just bothered me. It drove me bonkers. More bonkers than the formatting did. And the formatting really got to me towards the end. Because I think some of the worst stuff comes from these black pages, which are like Aiden. And I didn't appreciate any of his things. Like, when I had to sit there and turn the book, I think it was actually towards, like, page 300. I had to turn the book around because they had written text in a circle that made me go from the left page to the right page, back to the left page. No, thank you. That didn't even, like, why? And then there were some pages where it wasn't clear how the text was meant to be read. It was like, not these ones specifically, but sort of like this one, where it would start over here, and I was like, I think it's meant to go on to the next line because the dots are connected, but I didn't know. It was weird. I didn't know, and I wasn't going to read the page like 3 different ways to find out what made the most sense. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't get into it. So I gave it 1 star, I think. I couldn't. If you've read Illuminae, if you liked it, please sound off in the comment section below. Let's have a conversation. If you didn't like it, sound off in the comment section. Be respectful, obviously. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that. If you are going to talk spoilers, please, like, let people know before so you don't ruin things for them. I personally don't care about being spoiled, but other people do. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you when I see you. But until then, bye.